Hello children, how are you all? How is the weather today? Is it hot? Is it cold? Or is it cloudy? Since this is rainy season, mostly it is being cloudy only. Anyway, we are going to learn about all these aspects in our second lesson, Energy from the Sun. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the energy which is emitted by the sun and which is received by the earth's surface. The earth on which we live is full of diversity. We read in the previous classes about some aspects of this diversity: oceans, continents, mountains, plateaus, and plains on the continents, and regions of high and scanty rainfall. In this chapter, we shall study about another important form of diversity, which we cannot see but only feel. This is diversity in temperature. You would have noticed that while it is cool in the morning, it gets warmer during the day and gets cooler again in the night. Similarly, you may have noted that it is very hot in some months of the year and less hot in other months. This is known as variation of temperature in one place. Temperature also varies from one place to another on the earth. Some regions are warm, while some regions are so cold as they are covered with ice throughout the year. You have read about the equatorial regions where it is warm throughout the year, and later on you will also read about polar regions which are very cold. Temperature difference between places also causes winds and rains. The amount of rain received at a place is to some extent determined by the temperature difference between places. Temperature and rainfall affect life in very critical ways. Plants and animals depend upon heat and water. Only some kinds of trees and plants will grow in hot regions, and some other kinds will grow in cold regions. But nothing grows in very cold regions. Thus, we have variation in vegetation and animal life. In this chapter, we will study about variations in temperature in different parts of the world. Solar energy and sun's rays. The sun is the principal source of energy on the earth's surface. It is like a powerhouse which generates and gives out energy in the form of light and heat. This energy, which is constantly emitted by the sun, is known as solar radiation. When a body gives out energy, it is called radiation. Since this radiation is coming from the sun, it is called solar radiation. The energy produced by the sun comes to us in the form of sun's rays. We can see and feel some aspects of this energy like light and heat. However, we also receive many other forms of energy like ultraviolet rays, that is UV rays, radio waves, X-rays from the sun, which we can neither feel nor see. However, the energy radiated by the sun is more or less constant with very little variation throughout the year and year after year. Then, the question is, what causes the change in temperature of the earth or on the earth? Now we shall study the reasons for changes in the temperature on the earth. The solar radiation received on the surface of the earth is called insolation. The actual amount of solar energy received on the ground level is only a small portion of what reaches the earth's atmosphere. This is because about 1/3 of the solar energy is reflected back by the earth's atmosphere. Further, some portion of the energy is scattered and absorbed in the higher reaches of the atmosphere. In fact, some of the harmful rays of sun like the UV rays don't reach the ground, and this has made life possible on the earth. Some amount of solar rays are also absorbed or reflected away by clouds and smoke or dust in the atmosphere. You would have noticed that on cloudy days it does not get very hot. Now, children, we are going to study about energy budget. Children, if all the energy emitted by the sun is received by the earth, what will happen to the earth? So, only up to 48% of the solar radiation is received by the earth. Remaining is either reflected or absorbed and scattered by the atmosphere. Here you see the budget of solar radiation. Total incoming radiation is 340.3 watts per meter square, and absorbed by the surface of the earth is 163.3 watts per meter square, which is only 48% of the total radiation, and 99.9 watts per meter square, that is 29% of total radiation, is reflected by atmosphere into the space, and 77.1 watts per meter square, that is 23% of total radiation, is absorbed by the atmosphere. Hence, you see, even the 48% of the insolation received by the earth is not retained by it all. 25% is sent into the atmosphere through evaporation, 5% through convection, and 17% through net thermal radiation. Only a minute portion of 0.6% is retained by the earth for our life. Otherwise, no species could live on the earth. Now, greenhouses. Interestingly, human societies have tried to grow crops everywhere by creating artificial environment for plants. Thus, we grow vegetables and fruits in very cold regions also by building greenhouses. These buildings are made with transparent roofs and walls which allow heat to come in but not escape. We create marshy environments for crops like paddy by irrigating the fields. How clever the man, isn't he? Now, sun's rays and earth surface. Even the rays that reach the ground do not heat the earth's surface uniformly. This is because of the curved nature of the earth's surface. Children, compare the two pictures given here to understand this. You can see from the pictures that due to the curvature of the earth's surface, the same amount of solar energy falls on a smaller area on the equator and a larger area as we move north or south of it. Thus, it will get warmer on the equator than near the poles. You can see that while the sun rays fall at about 90 degrees on the equator, they fall slantingly towards the poles. This is called the angle of incidence, or the angle at which the rays fall on the earth's surface. See the chart below to understand what difference the angle of incidence makes for the amount of energy received on the surface. If the insolation received at the equator is 100 units, then at 45 degrees 75 units are received, and at 66.5 degrees, that is near the polar circle, 50 units are received, and at 90 degrees angle, that is near the north and south poles, only 40 units are received. So less it is. Even though more intense sun rays fall on equatorial region, it is usually cloudy there after midday and less sun rays fall on the ground. Hence, equatorial regions are not as warm as the regions immediately north or south of them. But, children, this is not all. As the earth goes around the sun in the course of the year, the angles of incidence constantly change. Thus, the angle of incidence increases in the north during the months of November, December, and decreases in the months of May and June. We will look at this in detail in the next chapter. Children, please look at these pictures and try to understand the concept of angle of incidence. And as the earth goes around the sun in the course of the year, the angles of incidence constantly change. Thus, the angle of incidence increases in north during the months of May and June. You can observe this in the picture. Children, this lesson will continue in the next videos also. Please keep watching and continue learning. Please stay at home and stay safe. Thank you.